Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another episode of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, who's been creating espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927, and their history in the community of coffee is legendary. I grew up with La Marzocco espresso machines, and it's a huge part of my history, and La Marzocco is at the heart of some of the best coffee bars in the world because of its beauty, dependability, consistency, and innovation. Machines like the KB90 espresso machine with a straight-in locking portafilters for ergonomics, the scales in the drip tray for accuracy of the extraction, and also the auto flush feature on the group heads, which allows for more cleanliness and better workflow. It's just one of many machines that are suited exactly for your needs as a coffee retailer. La Marzocco is available to help you make the right decision on what machine is right for you. All you have to do is reach out to info@lamarzocousa.com, and one of their salespeople will help you get the machine of your dreams. So again, check them out over at lamarzocousa.com. Today's episode is brought to you also by Espressly. Espressly is a company that builds custom branded mobile apps for the independent coffee retailer. When you have an Espressly app on your phone, your customers don't have to search for you amongst other coffee shops in the area. You're not just a dot on a map. It's right there on their phone. It feels like your brand. The menu is right there. It's so easy and so wonderful. And it makes it really easy for people to experience your coffee shop when using a mobile ordering app. So there's no setup or development fee here. So it's kind of a no-risk model. You get a drive-through payment scanner, receipt and label printing capabilities. All of the data is stored in the app, and it integrates with some of the world's best payment processing systems, including Square. So I would really recommend that you reach out to them today if you're interested in mobile ordering and mobile apps for your coffee shop. Check them out today over at espressly.co. That's espressly.co. Okay, everybody. Well, I wanted to talk to you today about loving where you are in the process of developing your business. And maybe this is something you can also apply to your career. But it occurs to me that there are lots of ways that we kind of feel dissatisfied with where we are in the course of our business. We feel like we should be someplace different. And we'd love to be 5 years away from now. Like, I want to be like that other coffee shop. I want to have those skills. I want to have those customers. And we get into this mentality of the grass is greener. And we get into this mentality that kind of creates an internal dissatisfaction with our current circumstances that's not aspirational. It's not motivational. It's demotivating. It's demoralizing. There's a comparison trap here. We have an episode about this you can listen to. It's going to be linked in the show notes, as well as an episode called The Neighbor's Tree, which is another kind of episode on this topic. But specifically, I want to encourage you to be careful of how you view your progress as a professional and as an entrepreneur, as a leader in this business, because your journey is unique to you. You really can't compare it to other people. Now, there are metrics that signal that there are opportunities for improvement, but you can't tell the true health of a company based solely on if their metrics line up with the people that they respect. I mean, you could have two vastly different coffee bars, one where the baristas are well cared for and thriving, and the customers feel like this is just the best discovery they've made in their life of transacting specialty coffee. You feel pretty fulfilled. It's all around a great experience, this whole coffee shop. But then there's another coffee shop where it's the opposite. People are just turning over. They're constantly being under-resourced, underappreciated, underpaid. You feel embittered. You're just burning out because you're working too much. The people are leaving quickly, so the turnover rate's high. And at the same time, all that can be true. And some of those metrics, like let's say you somehow were able to get each cafe at 25% labor. Well, okay, does that mean that you're doing good? Not necessarily. Now, the latter example that I mentioned, where the coffee shop's not putting something great out there, that could be the only coffee shop in town. And everybody goes there and it keeps that labor down. You could also be keeping the labor down simply by not paying people enough. And that causes a lot of trouble. So the idea here is that metrics and what you see in another business that you compare yourself to is not all there is. You've heard the saying, it's not about competing with other people, it's about competing with who you were yesterday. Is your business better today than it was yesterday? Are you better today than you were yesterday? That's a great way to think about it. Yes. And, you know, it starts with being able to accept and be thankful for where you are so that you can fully see what it is you have. Then you can start to make real change if something is a challenge that needs to be overcome. Your eyes are not on somebody else, your eyes are on your business. Your eyes are on being a better version of yourself as a business. In this way, you can make better decisions about things that may or may not need to change. If what we're doing is being reactive and saying automatically that, out of insecurity for where we are and kind of this built in hatred for where we are, whether in your skill as a professional or where you are in your career or the business. You want more locations and you feel like, we should have more locations, and you start using that word should and you start getting down on yourself about it. That's when you start to become demotivated and you stop being able to see clearly and you're not able to refine what you have, and you actually make it less likely that you would accomplish the kind of advancement that you want simply by wanting it in the wrong way. And that way is to hate where you are, to hate what you have and who you're working with, and feel shame about not being better than you currently are. There's not a lot that comes from motivation through shame. Now, that may actually not be true when it comes to things that you do when it impacts other people negatively. Like if you lay into a barista as a manager and you do so in a very angry and toxic way, yeah, I feel like you should be ashamed. There should be some shame there. And that is some good motivation to change. It could be a wake up call. So I will say there are exceptions to that. But by and large, I think you get farther in your career and your business when you love where you are. That doesn't mean you settle. That means you just say, I accept where I am right now, and I will step out in faithfulness with the task that has been given to me, with this crew of people, with my current crop of customers. And I'm not going to come into work and kind of squint my eyes and say, ugh, you people. I wish I was this brand or that brand. And, I feel like we could be so much more. And then you know what you start to do? You throw everyone under the bus. You start saying, I could be better if it wasn't for this person or these people and this town. If I opened in a different town, it would be received way better, right? Excuses, all excuses. You're ignoring the signs that are being given to you that will help you develop yourself and your business to give you more fulfillment. And it starts with accepting where you are and saying, yes, these are my people. This is where I am in my skill. This is where I am in my business. This is where I am in my career. How can I embrace this? And in doing so, create such a firm foundation of understanding of this that the next level, an opportunity I have to reach the next level, is going to be built on something solid and something that is in good faith, good conscience, and say, the next step, I can feel good about the way I handled myself and my business and my relationships. And when I look back at the beginning, I don't have to think, I was really spending all of my time wishing I was somewhere else, and I missed where I was. I missed the opportunities to really connect and to grow in those moments. Frustrating as those things may have been, We need to counterbalance that frustration with gratitude and kind of being mindful of and thankful for the things that are current, that are right now, so that we can be prepared to receive those things and those opportunities and actually create those opportunities too. You become stronger the more you love the different stages of your development instead of keeping scorn on those things. It's more likely that you'll be creative. An angry mind is not a very creative mind. I tell my son this all the time. Like when you're really just pissing mad, it's really difficult for you to come up with creative solutions. It really is. And so that's where I want to leave you today and say, well, what can you do right now to take a step into loving where you are? And think of these restraints as a blessing in disguise if you feel restrained, if you feel the tension of wanting to do or be more, etc., but currently are in a place where it's kind of a holding pattern. I love the idea of anonymity as a blessing. If nobody knows who you are as a roaster and you feel that that's a bad thing, I have to disagree. You probably are being given this opportunity in this season of life to be anonymous so that you can work things out without risk. That's a blessing. When this show started 6 years ago, there was not as many listeners. And there's a lot of people listening to the show right now who have never listened to episode 7 or episode 2 and so forth. And the audio quality is not as good. And I don't know that I'm as good in speaking. But the fact is that anonymity, in a sense, was a blessing that allowed me to develop the skills and say, I love each episode. And each episode, we're just going to keep on going consistently and eventually develop the skills to do better in the future. Now, if I went into every episode and thought, oh, I really hate that one, I'm really ashamed of it, I'm not as good as these other people at podcasting, how do you think that we would have been able to be as consistent with the show? I would not have been able to be as consistent with producing this many episodes over the course of the last 6 years, because at a certain point, the shame and the weight of my own, disappointment with myself, misplaced disappointment with myself, I guess, would have been too great. And we would have done what you call pod fade. It's a lot of work to do this, but my skills have improved over the years. The capacity has improved. And this actually has, for the better part of 6 years, has been just me in a room. And so the only reason for that longevity, a lot of the reason is because I accept where I am right now as where I need to be. And as I continue to practice listening and kind of tuning into what's happening, loving where I am, I'm not saying I don't have frustrations or aspirations, because I do. Again, I want to counterbalance that with loving the process and accepting what restraints currently exist as blessings that will manifest themselves in the future, even though right now it might not feel or seem like it. That's a bit of an extension of trust that I have right there. So I hope that helps you, because a lot of times it's easy to compare yourself again. And I don't want you to feel this way. I don't want you to squander having presence and showing up in the now and enjoying the blessings of what it is you currently have, learning the lessons of the present moment, because those are the things that will allow you to flourish later on. So I hope that this was a helpful episode, and always great to talk to you all. Thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break. From keys to the shop.